speaking of getting attacked by my own community, I would like to address the latest news story that came out about me and the legal action challenge this week in my favourite propaganda rag, the Wank Australian newspaper. The media, which I use the acronym of the most effective devil in Australia. I've taken that from my dear friend Marge Teray from Black Guns Matter. He's got a t-shirt that calls the American corporate press the most effective devil in America. I feel it's very similar here in Australia. And by corporate press, I mean the lamestream media who are paid big money from the state government. They're usually the biggest advertisers in these rags. And they came out this week and put a story about me, calling me an alt-right social media influencer, Kate Fentanyl. They've used that line before, by the way. Get a new joke, Ben Harvey, lame. And I have been told that I am just as addictive as fentanyl, so I'm going to take that slur as a compliment. So that story came out. I did provide him a statement, which wasn't used in the video clip that he put out. I know he has deadlines. I'm a journalist. I can empathize with that, but he didn't use any of my statement. And then it came out on page 8 of the Wank Australian newspaper. I'm sad it wasn't page 3. Wasn't page 3 girls a thing back in the day? Because they used a picture of me of shooting a belt fed in the United States of America last year. And I believe, quite simply, that anything the state owns, the civilians should own too. So that story came out. I had quite a few people message me and tell me about it, and I watched it and I actually laughed. It was much nicer to me than that other vile attack that was made against me from people in my own community. But just like the corporate press, they didn't contact me before they ran with the story. And when I did reply with the statement to the Wank Australian, they didn't use any of it apart from in the paper the next day. So some of the things that they said, the thing that annoyed me the most, so I did have a bit of a laugh. The thing that annoyed me the most about that story is the disinformation that it spread about how legal action is not paying for legal action. And I will say it again until I'm blue in the face. I've already signed a contract to pay for the next stage of legal action, which include court appearances. So I don't understand. And I said this, I spoke to my lawyer. I was very upset because I have my reputation to think of. This is exactly why, after my Senate campaign back in 2022, when the same journalist who didn't contact me before he ran with the story about me, this is why I became professionally unemployable in Western Australia, because what professional organization or what professional business will hire someone and they Google her name, and that's the kind of press that I get. And so this latest story that came out insinuating that I had somehow scammed people into thinking they were paying for something that was not happening in the first place, when I am getting the bills for the not just the letter of opinion, which is classified as legal action. I don't want to play semantics. I'm not going to get in the gutter with people. I've got far more important things to do than argue about language, as much as I do like to spurg out about the use of language. I have already publicly said so many times that I have and I will be funding the next stage of this battle because of the amount of money that I have received. This is a war chest which has been flagged to spend on everything we can do in this fight. So that was a disappointing thing to me, that the story wasn't a challenge is about to be mounted against Papalia's gun laws, and there's only one person who is doing it with the weight of the people behind her. The story is somehow twisted into me being an alt-right, and I encourage you, if you don't know what that means, to look up that word. Elon Musk has been described as that. President Donald Trump has been described as it. So many people have been described as that when it's not the appropriate definition. How can I be alt-right when I still share some views with my leftist friends? It's just inaccurate. So I was very disappointed and upset to see that the story was about me and about being social media influencer. I'm not. I only use social media because I'm a journalist, an independent journalist, and this is the only way I can get my message out. I'm not an organization bankrolled by people with vested interests which control what I say. And I encourage anybody who looks at news stories or stories that come up, not just about me, but about anything, question where they're getting their funding from, question why they're pushing a narrative when you can easily look up the facts of the story, which clearly says it's not just about the first part of legal action, which is the letter of opinion. She's already publicly said, and my lawyers also reiterated this to the journalist, that she has signed a contract for the next stage of this. This is just part one we're working on now. So that was something that I got, something else I had to do just when you think things couldn't get worse. But interestingly, it did help. My donations went up a little bit. I think my lawyer was watching it and said I went up 10 grand. So thank you. Thank you for the free press. I just wish it didn't have to slur my name, because I do have concerns about my future. And this is something I've said before about how hard it was to get a job in that town after my Senate campaign. I couldn't get a professional job. I had to work on a makeup counter, and um, that was, sometimes you need to go into different areas to learn, and I learned a lot. I'm not knocking it, and it's a great job, and it's, my dad actually taught me growing up to get a degree and also have a trade as a backup. So that was my trade, and it served me well for the times I've in politics. You find yourself unemployed at random occasions. So I'm glad that I had that skill in order to pay to live in WA. But it's also because of the media attention I've gotten with not just my Senate campaign, but now this battle, it does make it very hard for my career here in Australia. So I just want people to understand that it does come at a personal and professional risk when you take on fights that are against the establishment, that are against the state, that are against the corporate press, that are against press that have their own hidden agendas. You do become a target. It does take its toll on me. And I'm so grateful for those who have emailed and sent me messages of support. Some of the emails brought tears to my eye, made me laugh out loud. Today I was feeling quite anxious and low, and I just sat there and started going through emails, and those emails from you helped get me back in a place mentally to come and speak to you tonight, because it's been a lot for one person. And I stress that again, I'm not an organization, I'm one person, so it sometimes gets a bit hard to deal with all the crap. But like I said, it ended up raising awareness about the campaign, and I'm grateful for everyone who can see through the crap that the lamestream media put out. No wonder people are tuning out. No wonder podcasts like this and all the big podcasts overseas are getting so much more viewers these days, because you can't trust a press that is paid for by people who are telling you what message you can and can't put out. And that's why I only lasted a year as a journalist back when I began working at a newspaper, because I saw firsthand how big an influence the local council this was had on the stories in the newspaper. And I've told this story before. I exposed a story about how the local council had awarded a contract to a business that was owned by a family member of one of the local councillors. I wrote a big piece about it. It was going to be published on the front page. And the local council said, to the editor, if you publish this, then we will not be advertising in your paper again. And the whole paper would have gone bankrupt. So this is why I have no time, respect, energy for the corporate press. They cannot be trusted. They have to bow down to the person with the biggest checkbook, which is at the moment in this country, the state government. So if anyone has any comments or question about that piece, I'll have a look now. But yeah, fentanyl, God. Maybe I should change my name to Winter after my husband's last name.